Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com. Climate expert Joe Biden says that a hurricane hit Kentucky last night.
Jill and I pray, and I sincerely mean this, pray for those who've lost loved ones and for those who are uncertain of the fate of their loved ones and the debris that you see scattered all over the hurricane's path.
Besides his discussion of the Kentucky hurricane, he went on with a general discussion of his knowledge of climate. All I know is that the intensity of the weather across the board has some impacts as a consequence of the warming of the planet and climate change. The fact is that we all know everything is more intense when the climate is warming. He's not only a hurricane expert, but he's also a mind reader. Let's go back to the other end of Joe Biden's political career in 1974, in the days when he had to actually get elected to take office. During Joe Biden's first term in office, the worst tornado outbreak in Kentucky and U.S. history occurred. This was the front page of the Paducah, Kentucky newspaper on April 5, 1974. Tornadoes leave 320 dead. Kentucky is a disaster area. I'll be talking more about that tornado outbreak in a few minutes. Back then, Joe Biden probably knew the difference between a hurricane and a tornado. In 1974, climatologists blamed the outbreak of droughts, floods, blizzards, tornadoes, typhoons, and hurricanes on a worldwide cooling trend. Joe Biden says that everybody knows that extreme weather is made worse by global warming, but when he started his career, everybody knew that extreme weather was made worse by global cooling. Let's see what the experts have to say. NASA says that extremes of flood and drought are caused by global warming. The Royal Society says that floods, droughts, hurricanes, and tornadoes are made worse by global warming. The World Bank says that floods and droughts are caused by global warming. The New York Times says that floods and droughts are caused by global warming. Across the board, the press says that floods, droughts, and other bad weather are caused by global warming. A local charity in Somalia believes recurring droughts and flooding there are caused by global warming. Michael Bloomberg says that global warming is going to kill everybody. Leading experts say that global warming will destroy human civilization by the year 2050. And congressional experts say that global warming will destroy the planet by the year 2030.
How many years until the world ends again? We have 12 years left to cut emissions by at least 50%, if not more. And for everyone who wants to make a joke about that, you may laugh, but your grandkids will not.
If the world is destroyed in the year 2030 as Alexandria predicted, I don't think her grandkids are going to have to worry about it. Let's take a look at the actual data. The death rate from all types of natural disasters is down 97% over the last 100 years. Now let's focus on just the drought numbers. Very few people die from drought anymore around the world, but 100 years ago, lots of people did. In 1921, millions of people around the world were dying from a record heat wave and record drought. This is what dried up Lake Morad in Switzerland looked like 100 years ago. And this is what the lake looks like now. It appears the climate has gotten much better over the last century. Now let's look at floods. Not many people die in floods anymore, but in the 1930s, lots and lots of people did. The worst flood in history occurred in China 90 years ago and killed more than 3 million people. The floodwaters were more than 10 feet deep and covered 50,000 square miles of China. 3 of the 5 deadliest floods in world history occurred in China during the 1930s. And all of the 15 deadliest floods in world history occurred with carbon dioxide below 350 parts per million. The third deadliest flood occurred during a typhoon in 1975. That occurred after decades of global cooling, and during Biden's first term in the Senate, which he probably doesn't really remember anymore. Africa was having a terrible drought caused by global cooling. The UN Secretary General Kurt Waldheim said, "If sufficient action isn't taken in the next few months, countries could disappear from the face of the earth." In the October 1974 edition of NOAA magazine, they gave a very good explanation for why global cooling caused droughts and why global warming prevented them. The CIA issued a report saying that the freakish weather was caused by global cooling and that it threatened the world's food supplies. The worst tornado outbreak in U.S. and Kentucky history occurred in April 1974. There were 30 F4 or F5 tornadoes in just 24 hours. To put that in perspective, during many years there's no F5 tornadoes. 48 tornadoes in just 24 hours were deadly, and 16 tornadoes were on the ground at one time in the state of Indiana alone on April 3, 1974. It is unfortunate that Joe Biden doesn't remember his first term in the Senate. President Nixon knew about the tornadoes and toured the disaster area. I wonder if Joe Biden will be able to do as well as Richard Nixon. The press says that December tornadoes in the United States are caused by global warming, but actually December tornadoes are fairly common. They occur along the West Coast and in the southeastern United States. During December 1987, Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton declared the state to be a disaster area twice. The first time was due to a December 14th tornado, and the second time was due to a Christmas Day flood. Joe Biden was in his third term in the U.S. Senate at that time, and it's unfortunate that he doesn't remember. At New Year's 1948 and New Year's 1949, there were massive tornado outbreaks in the southeastern United States. Joe Biden was already in public school at that time, and it's unfortunate that he doesn't remember his childhood. The deadliest tornado outbreak in the United States occurred in 1925. It killed more than 1,000 people in Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. I'll excuse Joe Biden for not knowing about that tornado because it's pretty obvious that history and science aren't his thing. But Toto remembers he got caught with Dorothy in this tornado in 1939. That was when Toto started his career pulling back the curtain on junk science and fraudsters who pretend to control things which they know nothing about. You can visit Toto, Kyrie, and Caesar on the web at realclimatescience.com.